This video is sponsored by The Biscuit Barrel. The Biscuit Barrel are a late-night comedy sketch group currently performing at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and I'm one of them. If you're in Scotland anytime this month, then come on down and see us perform some hyperactive comedy. We've also got a big announcement coming soon, so check out our social media. Do you remember that time period when we were all waiting for the next Nintendo E3 Direct thing going on? I think it might have actually been one of their first, and we were desperately waiting for news for the new 3D Mario that was going to be on the new-ish Nintendo Wii U. And remember how back then we all just wanted another Super Mario Galaxy 3, or maybe Super Mario Sunshine 2, or some other just completely original but fairly standard 3D Mario game that was just kind of open world and single player? And then there was that moment that Mario actually popped up, and we were all super hyped up to see him. And then the world opened, and we saw the Super Mario 3D World style instead. And responses, to say the least, were quite mixed. Because at the end of the day, it's just not what we wanted. And yet, in its own way, it surprised us all in being one of the highlights for Mario on the Wii U, if not his entire last decade perhaps. It is still 3D Mario, but takes a completely different approach, separating from the standard 3D Mario formula and crossing over with the more 2D Mario styles. Level layouts work much like the 2D games, but the controls and the actual level design is fully 3D. And while there are plenty more new power-ups like other 3D Mario games that give all sorts of new little options for the Mario characters, these power-ups don't assist with puzzles as much as it simply assists with the platforming elements of these new 3D levels. And most importantly, it brought back in 2D Mario's greatest assets, being multiplayer. Now with up to 4 players tackling a single 3D level, gameplay can be iconically chaotic while adding an extra new dimension to the multiplayer Marios of the past. And though many people still wanted an enriched single-player Mario game, I think Super Mario 3D World was a surprising gem that absolutely deserves a sequel. So, how can it be done? Well, honestly, the original game seems fairly easy to replicate with some new additions, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, those little additives. If a Super Mario 3D World 2 was to bless our Switches, here's how the formula can be expanded to make the sequel even better than its Diamond original. So one of the very first notable changes from the normal 3D Mario style is the appearance of several playable characters. Usually we're used to only ever playing as Mario for the entire adventure, and maybe Luigi after all the fun is done. But Super Mario 3D World gives us Mario, Luigi, Toad, and Princess Peach right out of Super Mario Bros. 2. It then goes one extra step further by allowing playable use of Rosalina, linking straight to the Super Mario Galaxy series, as well as Captain Toad for little mini-missions, looking forward to him getting his own mini-series, and a few more Galaxy references as well. So what more can be done with more characters? Well, as a point of warning, while there are probably all sorts of characters that could probably fit into this style, throwing in all too many characters could get far too complex for players and the actual level design to complement them all. So if a Super Mario 3D World 2 was to be created, I would imagine at most only 1 or 2 more characters would be added onto the normal band of heroes, if anyone at all. And what would be the most likely candidate for the next step for Mario 3D World? Well, I think there are 2 main candidates to expect, both who aren't quite the usual type of playable characters, and neither will probably appear as an extra in the base 4 characters, or at least that would be my prediction. Instead, what I would expect as our first semi-playable character is someone who will appear mid-level to control, and following the theme of Super Mario Galaxy 2's upgrade over Super Mario Galaxy 1, what I'm talking about is Mario's iconic partner, Yoshi. This is the most obvious next step for Mario 3D World to me, because it's basically the formula at this point, and control-wise, Yoshi is already pretty easy to conceptualize, literally just needing to control identically to Super Mario Galaxy 2, with some minor tweaks at most. As per usual, they can be ridden by any kind of Mario character that chooses to jump on their back, they can float a little bit when holding down the jump button, and they can eat all sorts of items and power-ups up, perhaps with the same locking mechanic from Super Mario Galaxy 2. These could give them extra little boosts and bonuses, and maybe even unlocks a green star every now and again. And add in those swinging platform sections from Super Mario Galaxy 2, and there's already all sorts of new content that could be added to the Super Mario 3D World levels. Second up for our upcoming character, I think, is Mario's next iconic female, and that is Pauline. Just like Rosalina represents the Super Mario Galaxy game, Pauline can simply represent the new Super Mario Odyssey. Not to mention she's been appearing more and more as another Mario staple. As for her controls, the only things we really know about her is that she's speedy, glamorous, independent, talented, and likes tall buildings. How that translates into Super Mario 3D World? I'm not too certain, with her speed and height thing seeming to step on Luigi and Toad's toes. Does Toad even have toes? So perhaps she can stand out as the one with the longest jump out of all of the characters, or perhaps being able to use some sort of singing related ability, which hopefully won't overpower her above the others. But overall, she is probably the biggest candidate for the next iconic Super Mario 3D World character. Though if all characters are allowed, I'd love to see a Pianta representing Sunshine, Daisy as an extra option, Wario as a heavy Mario, Waluigi as an existential mess, and maybe even Bowser Jr. as a surprise hero in the sequel. But the likelihood is low for all of them, to say the least. The next big and obvious upgrade for Super Mario 3D World, albeit a fairly ambitious one, is online. We are now paying an exorbitant amount of money per month to find some Nintendo Online functionality, and if some people at Nintendo really put their heads together, then being able to play 4-player 3D World with anyone in the world could be really chaotic to see. Who knows though, they can't even get Super Mario Maker 2 right. It's a dream, an unnecessarily distant dream. So forget the functionality issues, what really matters is the levels themselves. After all, we haven't seen anything like them in another Mario game. Well, kind of. The 3D-ness and level layout itself is unique, but the themes and worlds are not. Super Mario 3D World was very much keeping to the safe Mario elements, like having a ground world, desert world, and ice world as the first 3 worlds. But what made it stand out was its extra circus theming in some of the worlds and levels. And for Super Mario 3D World 2, I'll admit that I'd feel pretty disappointed if all we see are more of the themed worlds again. The ground and circusness can stay, but I think the style could definitely do with some different theming. Whether it's just the other iconic Mario themes like a poisonous forest, or something entirely new or long forgotten from another Mario game. Because Super Mario 3D World played things pretty safe, whilst also being a new risk to the formula. And I feel in the sequel it could maybe try to spread its wings a little bit more. It doesn't necessarily have to blow our minds, but perhaps it could take some more inspirations from the works of Super Mario Maker 2, for example. Dig into all those other themes that didn't quite fit in the Super Mario 3D World design, so they just sort of made something fit. Give us more of those one-off Nessie levels, or some driving options, like in Mario Maker 2. Get wacky with the clear pipes and throwing enemies through them, and introduce more of those on-off blocks to really mess with people playing multiplayer. Add in the same kind of upgrades as Super Mario Galaxy 2, with new forms of platforming, new secrets to find, collectible items with multiple uses, like maybe a new rendition of the stamps, perhaps to create the same commenting system as Super Mario Maker 2 or something. Throw in some new power-ups that fit the same style as the original, whilst adding the chaotic nature that many of the previous power-ups did, and you're golden. I don't think we should stick to something as obvious as the sequel should introduce Dog Mario or anything like that. Keeping to cats is just fine, but I'd certainly like to see what more crazy things the Super Mario 3D World style could be brave enough to try out. Switch up some Captain Toad levels with maybe more elements from the main game, like minecart cannonball sections, or a scary boss fight, or perhaps something new entirely, and sprinkle all the more hidden sprites in every nook and cranny. Whilst last time was the year of Luigi, maybe up next we'll get the year of Yoshi in 2020 at his 30th anniversary, or the year of Wario in 2022. Either way, regardless of 30th birthdays, I want hidden sprites again, damn it. But generally, for a Super Mario 3D World sequel, we don't really need all too many changes and upgrades. The original game was a solid game, and its quality truly did surprise us all. And while a sequel is always known for expanding the original and upgrading at every corner, in the case of Super Mario 3D World, really, we mostly just need more of the same. Even though we would like to have more playable characters and more themes, more gimmicks and power-ups, at the end of the day, Super Mario 3D World 2 would be just as great a game as its predecessor if it introduced very little new to the series. Because the fact of the matter is, we like how the game plays, how it looks, and how it contrasts from the rest of the entire Mario library. And as long as it just keeps doing as it's doing, Mario fans will come to realize once again that this is that strange new Mario format, and even after all these years, we never knew it was what we truly wanted. It's a good game.